Creating emails, landing pages, and forms is one of the key features of marketing automation. But when selecting a platform, it can be pretty hard to get a grip on how the process of creating these assets really works inside the tool. So today I'm pulling back the curtain and showing you exactly what the email, landing pages, and form editors look like inside ActiveCampaign and Oracle Eloqua. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey and welcome, my name is Bob and I am the Marketing MacGyver. If you like what's going on in this video, leave a like and remember to subscribe to my channel for all news on marketing automation and inbound marketing in general. And as always, if you have a question, don't hesitate to leave a comment or send me a personal message. I will always reply to those. And with that said, let's go to the topic of today's video, email, landing page, and form editors inside marketing automation. If you wanted to create these assets in the olden days, you needed knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript maybe, or you had to link together a rudimentary system considering of various separate software packages to provide each of the services. Fortunately, nowadays marketing automation lets you do all these things in a single software package, and the process is also much simpler through the use of drag and drop editors. Meaning you don't need to write a single line of code to create the form, landing page, or email that you want. So what does that look like? Well, today we're taking another look at ActiveCampaign and Oracle Eloqua to show you their form, landing page, and email editors. So let's dive into the software. Okay, so we're inside the ActiveCampaign email editor, and before we jump in, I want to mention real quick that the interface that you'll see inside this piece of software is for 95% the same as it is in most other pieces of marketing automation software out there. Everything is getting more standardized into drag and drop interfaces, and you no longer really have to rely on HTML only. So inside ActiveCampaign, when we're talking about an email, we're talking about a campaign. So obviously I have to name it, and then I can select from a bunch of types. In this video, I'm going to go with the standard, but you notice that there's also automated autoresponders. I can base it on a date, do split testing, or even trigger it off of an RSS feed. But we're going to go with standard right now, so I'll just give this a name real quick, my campaign. I'm going to go through and select a list real quick. And here's something then that you'll find in most marketing automation software. You can select from a pre-built library of templates. So we've got abandoned cart, single product, portfolio, modernist, all different styles and layouts and everything. And generally, it's good to start off one of these, but you'll probably never use one directly. In this video, I'm just going to build from scratch. So again, I can choose a newsletter or a column right or left. I can adjust that on the actual newsletter itself or the email itself. And you can see that I can also still opt for things like custom HTML or even plain text emails. So I'm going to go with newsletter. Okay, so we're inside the email editor proper right now. And the email that you see and that you'll see in most of these editors, it's built up out of blocks. So we've got a little thin block over here for like the click here to view this thing online. We've got an image, some text, and a divider here. So, I can just click and edit all of these individually the way I want them to be. But I can also insert a whole lot of elements, blocks as ActiveCampaign calls it. I can throw in a text block, an image, a button, a video, line breaks, spacers. So it's really easy to put together an email. And I can use spacers, for example, to make extra columns here. So I can add another image here if I wanted to, or maybe a button, and drag a button in there. And I can edit all these things, and you'll see that that's pretty easy as well. There's a fairly simple to use editor right here that I can use to change the appearance of this thing. I can give it a little bit of a border radius. The border, maybe want to make that white. Give it white text, and so on. Give it bold. So there you have it. It's really quick and easy to just put together emails like this. And what's great about email in marketing automation software is that you can personalize the contents of this email to the person that is receiving it. So for example, if this was my welcoming text, I can add a salutation to this. Dear, and then I've got a button right here that says personalize. So I can click that. I'm going to go with first name. So now it will insert the first name of the person that receives the email. And for this field, it is set that if a first name is not known, it will actually replace it with Sir, Madam. So there you have it. That's a quick way to just personalize some of the contents of your email. Of course, you can do that with any field that you have in your database. But the personalization doesn't really end there. I can even go so far as to say, well, this image right here, I want to make this conditional or dynamic as you would find it in other software. So what I can do is I can only show this piece of content if something is or is not true or is bigger than or greater than, etc., etc. And a really good use case for this is to base the contents of your emails on product interest or lead stage that your leads are in to be able to convert them more easily into paying customers. Alright, so we're in Eloqua's landing page editor, and right away you can see that it is very similar to ActiveCampaign's drag and drop email editor. So I've got an empty canvas here as well, and I can drag in things like text or images, layouts, so I can make something 2-column. And it's really easy to just click together a landing page really quickly. Remember that the idea behind the landing page is to keep it simple and on point. So a drag and drop editor like this is actually a really powerful way to speed up your workflow. And of course, the main reason to have a landing page is so that you can offer some kind of interaction with your business. The most common use case is to offer an ebook or white paper or some kind of content download. And to do that, you need a form that lets you gather data on your visitors. And adding a form to a landing page is as simple as just dragging it in there. But before we do that, let's just show you how to create a form. First in ActiveCampaign and then in Eloqua. So forms are the way that you gather information from your visitors in exchange for content. Now ActiveCampaign doesn't actually have a landing page editor, but it does let you create forms that you can then place on your website. So I'm going to show you how that works real quick. Got a button, create a form. And then you got various options. So you can build an inline form, you can have them as a floating bar, box, or even a pop-up as well. I'm going to call this my form. And there we have our initial form. And again, just like the email and landing page editors, it works by dragging and dropping elements onto the form. And just like with the email and landing page editors, it is really easy to style this form to make it look the way you want it to. So I can change things like the background color and the font color. I can add or remove a border. I can determine the color of the button, so I could make this a little bit more cheerful. Let's go with orange, always a good call to action color, isn't it? Something like that. And if I know a little bit of CSS, it's actually really easy to edit the individual elements as well. So if I want to change the height of that particular field, I could say height 180 pixels, which obviously it's way too big. I'm not a hero in CSS, so I'll just leave this to the pros, but know that it's an option. And obviously we want to take out the AC branding as well. Sorry, ActiveCampaign, nobody wants a form like that. And then obviously you can change the labels of these fields to say something like, what's your name? Can even put in some pretext that's already there. Set if the field is required or not, which adds the little asterisk in there. And it's just really easy to customize this form to make it work exactly the way you want it to. And then of course, when somebody submits data to this form, you want to control what happens next. So ActiveCampaign has an option menu here that lets you select what happens when somebody submits data. You can, for example, show a thank you message, or you can open a thank you page URL, and then you can determine what happens behind the scenes as well. So I already set it to subscribe the person to a list, but I can also add different actions. Things like adding a tag or even creating a deal straight from this form submission so that my salespeople are up to date with what's happening right away. And if I want to, I can email the results of the form to myself. And then when I'm done with my form, I can go up here to integrate. And you see that ActiveCampaign makes it really easy to embed this form onto your website. You can either use a simple embed, which just loads a little script inside the div, or you can go with a full embed that basically renders the entire form on your website. It also has links to the form, in which case it will just load the form on a blank page, or you can integrate it with WordPress or even Facebook. And there you have it, that's creating a form in ActiveCampaign, which is easy as that. Okay, so moving on to Eloqua's form builder, you can see that it's very similar to ActiveCampaign in that you can just drop fields in here and create your form with a very drag and drop like interface. Now, one very powerful feature in marketing automation that unfortunately ActiveCampaign does not have is progressive profiling. And progressive profiling leverages the cookie that you have on your visitor to ask for new information every time your visitor visits this same form. So for instance, in addition to somebody's email address, when I add a progressive profiling element, I can start off with somebody's first name, last name, and then the next time they visit the form, I'll ask them for their company name and their business phone number. I can then set the progressive profiling section to only show 2 fields at a time, and only show those fields of which I do not yet have the information for the particular visitor. And this is a great way to gradually build up what you know about your visitor without ever asking them for too much on the first visit. Another powerful feature of Eloqua is its form processing engine. This controls what happens with the submitted data. I'm going to go over here to Processing, then click on the plus button, and immediately I'll see a whole bunch of action steps that I can take with the submitted data. The most common one you use is Update Contacts with Form Data, as Eloqua actually doesn't store the form data on the contact record by default. This is great because it allows you a certain degree of flexibility around what happens with the data. As you can see, it automatically maps the form fields to the corresponding contact fields, but if I wanted to, I could change where this data ends up. I can also control if form data should override contact data if a value is already present or not, and I can even make the execution of this processing step conditional by making it either execute always, never, or only when a certain contact field or form field is true. And as you might expect, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I can do, such as send the submitter an email, send a notification email to somebody in my organization, redirect the person to a web page, or add them to campaigns or program builders. These form processing steps makes Eloqua's form engine one of the more flexible and powerful ones out there. As you can see, it's really easy to create emails, forms and landing pages with marketing automation software. And even the most technically illiterate marketeer should be able to find their way around these editors, whether you've chosen a software package on the cheap end, like ActiveCampaign, or going all out with something like Oracle Eloqua. And that's it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you took away something of value from it. As always, if you liked the video, leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date on everything marketing automation or inbound marketing related, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot. If you have a question, leave it in the comments or send me a personal message. And with that said, I hope to see you in the next video.